Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Delta.app One Hub Racing here for round number 4 of the championship. My name is, of course, Michael Edwards, going to be taking you through the action, and joining alongside me in the commentary box is Jack. How's it going, Jack?
I'm good, thank you. I'm excited to be here for my first ever One Hub race, and I'm excited to see what happens around this iconic track ahead of the P2 tier.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, round number 4 sees us head to the home of British Motorsport for the British Grand Prix. We're here in Silverstone, and it's a track, Jack, that everyone knows like the back of their hand. So I'm expecting everything to be oh so tight in qualifying, and race pace is going to be oh so tight as well.
Yeah, plenty of fast drivers down that list on your left-hand side. Of course, Jacob, the championship leader, you'd expect him to be quick. It was predicted in the talk show this morning that he'd be the favourite for pole position, but it's only a couple of place gaps in it. You're not going to find much time around here, and hopefully some of the people up front like Larkin and Lukey can challenge the likes of Jacob for pole position here.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, a quick look at the track itself. Of course, the 5.8, almost 5.9 kilometer circuit, 26 laps await the drivers, 18 corners, 8 to the left and 10 to the right, with 2 DRS zones, one down the Hanger Straight and one down the Wellington Straight. Of course, the C4, C3 and C2 compound tyres available for the drivers. And with qualifying underway, let's head straight to the action out on track, because we got to see the lap times that are coming in from everyone, and we will be able to see in just a moment as I'm on board with Kinney, who's about to begin his lap. So perfect timing.
Yep, Kimmy coming round the final corner now in the Williams, so close to picking up the win last week. A penalty cost him that opportunity to maiden win. Can he correct that as he comes through the flat out part of the track? Brake as late as you possibly can through Abbey, and it looks pretty smooth. Avoided the curb, the sausage curb on the left hand side, and it looks smooth through Village as well down the Wellington Straight. He'll open up the DRS, use the battery that he can before he heads up to Brooklands and Luffield, where we've seen plenty of crashes earlier on in the night, and it's looking pretty clean from Kinney so far in the Williams. One of the drivers we expect to be up there battling away. He's got 22 points to his name throughout the 3 rounds we've had so far, as he comes now to Cops Corner. Flat out if you can, he downshifts to 7th gear, so maybe not as confident as others would be later on in the session. You might see drivers going flat out through Maggots and Beckett's now, and then Chapel. You want to just get the car rotated, avoid any grass on the left hand side, and he does it beautifully now, and he's only got a couple of corners to go now before the line.
Yeah, coming towards the Stowe corner now, throwing the car in. Yeah, the gear of choice there for Kinney now into the Vale chicane as we come through the club corner now onto the Hamilton straight, the south finish straight to the line, and Kinney's going to set a provisional lap time of a 26 lap. And immediately, obviously, they're in the 26 flats. In terms of pole position, I mean, I was going to say I'm probably expecting a 25-8, 25-7 in terms of pole position.
Yeah, high 25s would probably be the expectation for some of the quicker drivers in the tier. You're already seeing drivers 26 flat. You'd expect the likes of Jacob and maybe Lukey down the order. He's on his outlap, should be setting around similar pace, maybe just a bit faster. Kamke on a lap, he's coming through Marcus and Beck. It's now the Red Bull driver down in 16th place still to set a lap. He's got a bit of battery left to play for down as he comes onto the hanger straight, opens at the DRS. He's got a couple of cars behind it, but he'll be the next to cross the line. Plenty of clean air as he comes through Stowe. No one to put him off now. Late as you possibly dare on the brakes into the Vale chicane now, and it's all about concentration through this part of the lap. Get the power down early as you can, avoid the curb on the right hand side, and it's a top 10 for Kamke early on in the session.
Yeah, so right now Mokri topping the times with a 26 flat, just ahead of Kinney, who's also on a 26 flat, and then we got a 26-1 from Mr. Zondel. Alexa on a 26-2, and Alexa, of course, in terms of so far this season, Alexa's been a driver that has been on the cusp of doing some incredible results, but it just hasn't gone Alexa's way. And obviously, if you go back and look at the round number 1 at Spain, Alexa had a great opportunity of winning the race, but the safety cars unfortunately played a part in that one. Lukey on a flying lap now, coming down the hanger straight in towards Stowe. And Lukey's another driver who should be up there towards the front, competing with the creme de la creme here in P2. But let's see if Lukey's going to be able to get that lap time on the board that he needs now, coming through club onto the Hamilton straight. So 26.5 from Lukey up to P7.
Good lap from Lukey. He managed to beat out Jacob, who set a 26.5 as his banker lap in 8th place. So the Alpines 8th and 9th. You'd expect them to be higher up later on in the session. I think Rowe is on a lap, just beginning his lap for the Haas. He invalidated his first run, so he needs to get this banker lap in with just over 10 minutes in the session to go. Papa Squash as well, down in 19th place, yet to set a lap. You'd imagine he'll be out on track soon. The drivers all be choosing the softer tyre allocation, but you will struggle to get 4 runs in, but it is safer in case you do invalidate. And that looks like it's a purple sector 1 at the moment on my screen for Robert. We'll have to see come the end of the lap if that's true or not. He's got plenty of battery as he comes down now the old pit straight from many moons ago up to Copse Corner now, obviously the famous crash site in 2021, and he downshifts as well. So drivers downshifting to 7th gear to get through Copse Corner on the exit, and Marcus and Beckett looks very clean from Rowe in the Haas. Number 11 now uses the curb, avoids the grass. He's got yellow flags up ahead, so hopefully people get out of his way if he reaches them. And it's a pretty quick lap. Stowe as well has to come. It's a bit slidey through Stowe. He doesn't invalidate the lap, but he needs to get a time on the board here. It needs to be in the 26s to be competitive. What will it be as he goes through Vale and now Club? He uses a bit of the curb, but not much, and that's P4. What a lap that was from the Haas driver.
Yeah, that was fantastic there from Rowe. Of course, last week he did struggle out there, struggling quite a bit in Australia, but it's good to see that he has put the time, and he's got the lap time on the board right now here in Silverstone, as we got Alexa on a lap. Didn't quite see what the sector 2 time was for Alexa, but coming through, looks like it's going to be a bit of an installation lap. But actually, no, into the pits, and I should have known that because it's 3 laps on those soft tires. So there we go. I am blind. But ladies and gentlemen, we got Chris now and Salu about to get their laps underway. On board with Salu coming through turn 1 through Abbey and Farm now, breaking down in towards Village as we go through Entree and the Loop, looking for a good one on to the Wellington Straight, and a decent amount of ERS to burn right now for Salo.
Yeah, down the straight he'll go, he'll open up the DRS traffic ahead of the Scuderia, moves out the way nicely, and that's a 27.1 first sector, so reasonably quick for the Ferrari driver, who's currently second in the championship standings. You'd expect him to be up higher than 7th place, but the tier is so close, and you know Jacob has that gap, but you see him down in 9th. Anything can happen. Through Copse Corner he goes, back on to the ERS just for a moment to get some traction out of the corner, and now through Magnus and Beckett's, using all the road available to him and keeping it between the white lines, which is what he needs to do to make sure it doesn't get invalidated. Maybe a little bit of a toe off the kick cyber ahead, but not much, and he's finding 4.5 tenths of improvement. This might be a provisional pole time for the Ferrari of Salou. Second in the championship. He'll be wanting to close the gap as much as he can as he comes into the Vale chicane. Will this be enough for provisional full pole for the Scuderia man? Round the club corner he goes, and it is the first driver into the 25.
Fantastic lap there from Salo, brilliant from him. His teammate though marginally up in sector 1, and he's 2 tenths up in sector 2, so this is looking like it's on course for a 25.8, and so it looks like it's the Ferrari show, which honestly, if you watched the real life Grand Prix earlier this morning, it was a bit of a Ferrari show, but maybe not for the right reasons, unfortunately for them, as Moki unfortunately validates coming through Copse, and he's into the pits. Kinney now to the line in the Williams, coming through the club, and goes provisional pole, but it's actually the exact same lap time that Salo set, and because Salo set it first, he's on provisional pole.
Yeah, what a lap time that is for Kinney to get the exact same one, but might not even start on pole position because the time is exactly the same, and he set it later on in the session. Looks like Larkin's popped himself up into the top 10 there. One of the McLarens just completing their lap. Jacob though just coming on to the Wellington Straight, and he's sliding through that first part of the track through Village, so the Alpine may be running a lower downforce setup to get a bit more straight line speed. It looks pretty scruffy for the championship leader. He's obviously won 2 Grand Prix in a row in P2, but not finding it as easy as he has the last few weeks, and the pressure may be starting to mount now that he has that gap. Doesn't want to give anyone any opportunities as he comes through Copse.
Well, I mean, for Jacob, it's a chance to make it 4 podiums in a row, a chance to make it 3 race wins in a row here tonight. Of course, in the standings, which we will go through in a bit after qualifying is done, I mean, he's got a 24-point lead at the top, which is absolutely incredible, especially when you consider the maximum points. That's a big rear snap for him on the entry in towards Stowe. But yeah, 24 points when you consider the race win gets you 20 points. He's already got a race win advantage in hand.
As he comes round the final corner, only 8th quickest for the Alpine, so more time to be found for car number 90, you would imagine. Is there anyone else on a quick lap? I think there's a McLaren coming round, but it's coming into the pits.
Yeah, that was Kermit coming into the pits. Kermit did improve on his lap and got himself up in the P9 just ahead of his teammate. Larkin in the pits, Kamke on a invalid lap right now. So I believe Alexa over 4 tenths up in sector 2. Now this could be potentially provisional pole right here for the Aston Martin, coming in towards the Vale chicane now through a club corner to the line. What's this going to be for Alexa? And it's a 25.7 provisional pole right now for the Aston Martin. And what a lap time that is from Alexa. And that is my prediction for the pole position times.
Very quick lap, that was beautiful as well, especially through the second sector there. It's Rowe now who's on the 3rd row of the grid in 6th place in the Haas, finding a little bit of time. Might not be enough to challenge the top 4, but maybe sneak 5th, and he does. A 1/10 improvement there from the Haas, and I don't think anyone else is on a lap now. I think we're
Zondel is on a lap, marginally up in sector 1, coming through left field now, on towards the national pit straight as we go through right-hander at Woodcut. Onto the national pit straight down towards Cops corner, throwing the car through, does he keep it in 8th? No, he drops into 7th, and that was not good for Zondel. There, he dropped into 7th, clipped the inside curb in, and the car just said, nope, no grip here.
That is the end of his lap for the time being. He's got plenty of time to get back in and get a new set of boots on that car and get going again. Now, the man that was on provisional pole earlier on in the session, the Ferrari of Mulgate, starting his lap now. We'll see what his split one time will be in a few moments. He's finding some time. Is the Ferrari 26 flat? Can he get that car into the 25s and challenge his teammate for a front row good start? Can he challenge the Aston Martin of Alexa for pole position? He needs to find more time through the second sector, but we'll see as he comes up to Cops corner now in medium, so not using all of the battery available to him at the moment, but that will allow him to have more later on in the lap. Through Margetts and Beckett's now we go. Very, very clean, using all the road and keeping it between the white lines. He'll open up the DRS. 25% battery now will absolutely be depleted on the hanger straight as Alfredo pops himself up into the top 4 with a 25.9. That's more like it from the Alpine drivers. What will we see from the Ferrari now as he comes through the final part of the track on his lap? This is probably going to be the last opportunity on a lap unless he's fueled for 2, and it's only 5th. Improvement, but not enough.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he's fueled for 2 laps. As you see, he's got the fuel gauge indicator popping up on his wheel there, and that is unfortunate for him. Alfredo there improving also up to P4. And right now is the calm before the storm, Jack, as we're going to get lap times coming very quickly towards the end of this session, as everyone is out there on an out lap right now, apart from Larkin down to Waitsy and obviously Rowe and Alexa in the pits. They should have just enough time to get out of the pits, so everyone's going to be funneling out of the pits in just a moment's time. It's going to be an absolute car park coming out of the pits, and everyone jostling for position to get the best run possible to start their final runs.
Well, you want to go as late as you possibly can. You want to find some room if it is possible, and then you need to bank on something not happening in front of you. You don't want a car going off and putting you out of sync on your lap. Rich just popped himself up into 11th place, so he got his lap out of the way and done early, but the grip will be quicker for other drivers the later on in the lap they go, and I believe the Alpines are going to be one of the first to go. I think it's going to be the championship leader that will begin this train of final laps in qualifying.
Kermit is a little bit further up the road than Jacob right now. So on board with Kermit, you got Chris just ahead of Kermit as well. So we'll keep an eye on these two drivers at first, as Jacob is also going to get his lap underway. The championship leader, what can he do? Currently down in P9. Bit of a disappointing qualifying from Jacob thus far, but anything can happen, and the times are so close that any time that he's going to gain is going to jump up a couple of positions here. But on board with Kermit, as we're going to see what that in the sector split is for him, and we'll see what it is for Chris as well. Chris coming down the hanger straight. Kermit 2/10 up, Chris 1/10 up. So both of them are finding improvements right now. We'll stay on board with Chris, then we'll jump straight back to Kermit as we go in towards the Vale chicane with Chris. Kermit improving in behind as well. But what can the Haas do? Coming through the final corner now, through club onto the Hamilton straight. So 0.1 there for Chris, and now Kermit goes ahead of Zondel up to P7 with a 10th improvement. And now all eyes on Jacob, who's half a 10th down. Sorry, he's half a second down in the middle sector, so it doesn't look like Jacob's going to be improving. So I believe there's a Williams now in behind, and that is of course Kinney, who's marginally up in sector 2. And can he get onto the front row of the grid? He has a Ferrari in behind him, or Salo, so it's going to be very close between these two. As we come to the line, Kinney Provisional pull, Salo. Oh, he's got onto the exit curb and did not improve in the end. Alexa marginally up, but we'll try to jump on board with drivers quicker and fast as we got Zondel now coming through the final corner. Zondel to the line, up to P3. What a end to his lap. He's only marginally up in sector 2, and he found a lot of time in sector 3. So fantastic from Zondel as Rowe now coming through the Vale chicane and the club corner. To the line he'll come as Alexa not too far off Kinney as Rowe will be starting from P7 on the grid, and that is qualifying over and done with.
Yeah, Kinney taking pole position then. He should have had the race win last week, and he's looking to make things right after his penalty, so good to get on the front row. A Williams 1-3, they'll be happy with that, trying to mount a challenge to the guys up front.
Yeah, absolutely. So run you through the order real quick. It is Kinney on pole position with Alexa in second, Zondel in third with Salo in fourth, Alfredo in fifth with Mokri in sixth, Rowe in seventh with Kermit in eighth, Chris ninth, and Lawrence rounding out the top 10. Outside of the top 10, we have Jacob, Rich, Lukey, Jonas, Papa Squanch, Larkin, Cam K, Waitsy, and Seco there in P19. And 8 tenths of a second separating P1 to P17 here, and incredibly close there in qualifying. But let's have a little look at the championship standings of what we've got coming into tonight. Of course, as you see, Jacob leading the way on top with 55 points, 31 points for Salo in second place. Of course, the only two drivers to have a race win this season, but Jacob has just been so consistent at the top, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's been so good. 3 podiums this season, 2 wins in a row the last 2 weeks before the break after tonight. But this is an opportunity for Salo. He's in the top 5 in qualifying. You've got Jacob qualifying outside the top 10. Lukey and Larkin are the closest rivals after that, also even lower than Jacob outside the top 10. So this is a real opportunity for the Ferrari, although won't take the lead tonight, but to close that gap if possible.
Yeah, and that's got to be the aim for Jacob, 100% to close the gap. Salo, he's 1 point ahead of Lukey, and Lukey, of course, his past couple of races, he finished P6 in round 1, P5 round 2, P4 in round 3. Will tonight be the night that Lukey gets a podium here in Silverstone? Of course, that will be his aim. Larkin currently in P4 on 26 points, 24 points apiece for both Lawrence and Mokri in 5th and 6th. Kinney on 22 points, 17 points for Rich and Papa Squanch in 8th and 9th. And then, of course, we have the McLaren of Adame there in P10 on 16 points, and a bit of a gap then to Cam K in 11th on 9. Chris on 8 points, and of course we got 7 points for Alfredo, Seco on 6 points, Waitsy and Zondel on 5 points, 3 points for Jonas, and Alexa on 1 point. So that is showing how big of a qualifying result that was for Alexa. Of course, was doing absolutely fantastic in Spain until the safety car came out, and then Alexa fell right down the order at the end of the race. And of course, minus 3 points for Nicholas and Rowe, unfortunately for them. Of course, the constructors, as you would imagine, Alpine lead the way, but the gap is much closer. It's only 7 points in the constructors between Ferrari and Alpine. 62 points for Alpine and 55 for Ferrari. McLaren on 42, 35 points for Mercedes in 4th. And then, of course, we've got the RBs in 5th. Williams in 6th with the Red Bull Racing Team in 7th. Then, of course, we've got the Saubers in 8th. 9th is, of course, the Aston Martins and the Haas F1 team rounding out the top 10 positions there. So that's how the standings are looking. It's a very interesting one in terms of who is going to catch Jacob, because now it looks like he might not have the raw pace, especially in qualifying, that he's going to need here tonight.
Yeah, the midfield seemed to have put up much more of a fight in this qualifying session than in previous. Maybe this one of the tracks that Jacob not so favours, or even though he picked up the win here last season in the P3 tier, obviously stepping up a tier, harder to do, and he's rose to the challenge so far, but can he do that again? Tonight we'll have to wait and see. Kinney looking like a real challenger. If he can just find the consistency and the discipline, he's got a real opportunity of mounting a challenge. Lukey and Larkin, they've got to come through the field and maybe get past Jacob. Can they challenge Jacob in the early laps and then maybe cause each other time? And then you could see the likes of people in the midfield like Saul picking up the win tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how the guys that are higher up in the standings can get through the midfield in this race in the early phases. Obviously won't see the softs you wouldn't imagine without a safety car, so I think maybe one of the guys in the top three maybe going hards to start the race and then see if they can go long.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Jacob in the chat saying time for a podium charge, so maybe he is confident in terms of what he can do here tonight in terms of race pace wise. So we're going to see how he gets on, as I am quickly going to run through the sponsors and partners here at Delta.app One Hub Racing. And of course, we are going to start things off with our title sponsor in Delta.app. Of course, the app for all of your investments in one app. Of course, this is for 18 plus only. Make smart decisions like the world's top investors. Track your journey to success with Delta. If you use the command exclamation Delta in the chat, of course, or you click on the link in the description if you are watching this back later, you will be able to track your investments. And of course, to our sponsors here at Next Level Racing, who provide some fantastic prizes for the season ahead, and you could potentially be winning whatever's on screen right now. And they of course have some fantastic rigs to improve the immersion levels of your racing experience. Of course, sim racing setups. They provide pro setup bundles on the F1 game created by top esports drivers, offering dry, intermediate, wet setups, and of course different types of setups, as well as strategy tips as well. And of course, if you do win the driver of the day vote, then you will be receiving a £10 voucher to the sim racing setup. So absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you use code OneHubRacing in the checkout, you will get 5% off. And of course, we got Pure Sim gear as well, using code OHR10P at checkout will get you 10% off in the checkout. Of course, providing sim racing socks and gloves to the drivers with the most combined fastest laps and pole positions over the course of the season. And of course, that is known as the Speedster Award, which obviously a lot of drivers will be out there looking to win. That is for sure, as we got Vespertine here, who of course supports our official apparel and of course provides some fantastic merch. And you may have seen it when we went for the standings, but of course SimGrid, we are powered by SimGrid, who of course allow us to do the standings much easier. Otherwise we would be using Google Forms, and that is a nightmare using Google Forms. And honestly, when it comes to using Google Forms, I am terrible, so I am glad that we got SimGrid to go through, and it just makes everything so much easier in terms of getting the standings going.
Yeah, so 2019 pre-COVID to be using the Google Forms to hold the standings, so it's good that we have all the information there for all 4 tiers whenever we need it. And then we're just about getting ready to go here. And I'm excited to see what throws up. Obviously dry, I'm pretty sure, isn't it? It's clear weather, no rain.
Yep, no rain here tonight. And of course, we did actually get to call some of the drivers into the press conference for media day. And of course, we called Larkin into the drivers press conference. The question that was put to Larkin Welcome. After a non-scoring opening round, you've bounced back well and found yourself 4th overall. Do you feel you can maintain a consistent run of results and potentially gatecrash the race for the driver's title this year? And who do you think will be up there by the end of the season? Larkin responding saying, yeah, it's frustrating that the opening round ended before turn 1, as a decent result there would have put me 2nd in the championship. There are some weak tracks for me on the calendar and I'm missing a race, so not expecting anything too competitive at the end of the season, but I'll keep pushing hard to do so as well as possible. And of course we know Larkin, he'll definitely be pushing, that is for sure. And the rivalry coming into tonight is of course between Kinney and Salo, who of course were trading times in qualifying. We put the question to the pair of them. It's fair to say there's been a couple of incidents so far between you two this season. It's like you're being pulled together by magnets. Why do you think this is? Is it just wrong places, wrong times? Is it likely to continue throughout the season? Kinney responded saying, the guy is respectful, pace, knowledge and sass. Everything I want to see with my rival. The only thing I will ask, it continues for both of us to develop. So Kinney eagerly anticipating more battles. And then of course Salo responds saying, Kinney is fierce, fast and unrelenting. Yes, we've had a few bumps and scrapes, but that kind of hard racing, hard battling makes better races. He's challenging me in a way I've not been for some time, and I clearly need to step up and keep my wits about me on track. We do respect each other both on and off track, I believe, and I just hope I can continue to learn and challenge to continue fighting with him. So Kinney and Salo there, a respectful rivalry between those two.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of early season syndrome as well. We don't know who's going to be in that title fight. We don't know who's going to be in the constructors or manufacturers title fight. So there's a bit more battling, a bit more fierceness at the beginning of the season, isn't there? It sort of tends to die down when we get to the midway point when people start having things to fight for. And Kinney, obviously one of those drivers that, from what I've seen, is desperate to just get that maiden win, and maybe that creeping into his game a little bit. But you'll see, once you have one incident, they tend to come in bundles as well. But hopefully those guys can have a clean race tonight and then put on an enjoyment show for us.
Absolutely, and that is what it's going to be all about for the drivers, making sure that they get through these early stages, picking up as many points as possible, because it is going to matter come the end of the season. Obviously, you want to get a good start, so by the time they feel like really kind of sorts itself out, you're not playing catch up if you've got the raw pace to be at the front, but you have a couple of poor opening races here.
Yeah, you want to be picking up as many points as possible. Put the pressure on your rivals. That is what Jacob has done in the first 3 races. Can he put the pressure on the rest of the field tonight? Can he creep himself into the top 10 early and make others think about him and what he's going to be doing? You would imagine the likes of Lukey and Larkin will get through the field eventually to mount some challenges for points, but can that midfield pack that qualified ahead of them hang on and make them work as hard as possible to get the overtakes done in the early phases?
Yeah, that is going to be the question. Of course, Jacob's going to be coming through the field from some way down, but it's going to be difficult. Alfredo in the chat saying Alpine on top. Come on, Jacob, lad. So Alfredo there backing his teammate to come through the field, and we're not too far away now from the 5 red lights getting us underway here in Silverstone. Of course, 26 laps going to be awaiting the drivers. Of course, it is a mandatory 2-stop, as we got salty Finn J saying let's go Haas, as we are about to head to the action here on track, and lights out, and we are underway here for 26 laps at Silverstone. There's a great start there from Kinney, side by side between Salo and Zondel in behind for P3, but what a start there from Kinney, doing exactly what he needs to.
Yeah, Kinney got away off the line well. The Aston Martin doing the job as well. Mr. Zonto trying to hang on to the Alpine and the Ferrari chasing, and they've made contact on their spin. And it looks like Mowgli got away okay in 4th place. Rose picked up a few places, but Kermit already up a couple of positions now, up into 6th place. There's damage on the Haas behind Lukey and Jacob. Lukey's up 5 places off the start. What a start for the Mercedes.
Yeah, fantastic start from Lukey. Unfortunately, Salo and Alfredo coming together, both of them falling down the order. Salo all the way down to 14th and Alfredo all the way down to 18th now in this race. And Waitsy's had a bit of a nightmare start as well, as Larkin is going to get the move done on Salo, and Larkin trying to come at the order. He's on the set of the hard common tyres, and it's interesting seeing the split in terms of the tyres here. So it looks like Salo potentially could come back at the McLaren here. He's getting tucked up right underneath that slipstream. Looks to the inside, and it's going to be job done as we got Lukey and Jacob battling up ahead as Salo just going to get ahead of Larkin, and it looks like Lukey and Jacob they stay line astern.
Kinney doing exactly what he needs to do out in front, already trying to get that DRS gap open. Zontel, Mr. Zontel doing a good job getting back into the DRS of the Aston after losing it. Rowe was so quick through Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel. He got right up to the back of the Ferrari of Mowgli and had to take the escape road, otherwise he was going to go right into the rear wing. The soft tyres doing the job, and no wing damage on that Haas. It's Chris's Haas that has the damage. He's looking quick, but how long will those soft last? They're only going to go about 4 to 6 laps. He needs to use the advantage while he got it. He's only one of 2 on the soft compound in the beginning. There is Papa Squanch, by the way, up 9 places off the start. Fantastic from the Red Bull, already in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely incredible from Papa, climbing up to P10 early on in this race. I tell you what, it's going to be interesting because obviously the undercut is going to be quite good around here. So Rowe and Alfredo, obviously they've gone for the soft tyres, looking to get that early undercut on the mediums and the hard runners. It's going to be, the strategy game is what is very intriguing to me right now in terms of what we have got here, as looks like Rowe is opening a bit of a gap back to Kermit in behind and closing up to the back of Mowgli. Zondel is now outside that 1 second window on Alexa, so it looks like we're going to have a straight fight going on between Alexa and Kinney for the race lead. Zondel, fastest lap of the race, and just gets back within that 1 second as we got Chris into the pits here at the end of lap 2.
Yeah, Chris needed to box. The wing damage was insufferable. Kinney out in front, recharging his battery, but Alexa behind has just got so much more battery to the availability of the Aston Martin. Will have the DRS now, not quite close enough to make a move this time. Mr. Zontel is using all of his battery to keep up with the top 2. If he falls out of DRS range as Jacob gets past Lukey into Brooklyn there, yeah, but if the Williams, the second Williams, Mr. Zontel, if he drops out of DRS, which he has, he could be under pressure from the Ferrari and the Haas behind. He needs to get back into that 1 second.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And of course, Lukey and Jacob right now, they're 1.6, 1.5 off the back of Kermit for P6. And Jacob really needs a good Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel here to really close up. And he's got the gap down to 1.2, but he's got to use that ERS as best as he can to minimize the damage of no DRS here. And Rowe, potentially those soft tires beginning to fall away from him as he drops outside that 1 second window.
Yeah, the soft compound tyres are not going to last a long time. He needed to use the advantage when he had it, and he did. He got him into 5th place, but it's all about, can he get them to around lap 6 and get himself into a set of hards or mediums? You'd imagine it'll be hard for the Haas now if you go on the soft. But Alexa out in front now. She is so close. He's only 4 tenths behind now of Kinney. Kinney not got anywhere near as much battery. It's 75% to 25%. You'd imagine the Aston Martin, if it's not on this straight, it should be the hangar straight. It should be easily passed, but maybe just sitting back and enjoying the DRS. Doesn't want to be out in front controlling the pace, just sitting nicely with the Williams doing a good job holding everyone up behind. Under no pressure at the moment is Alexa and the Aston Martin.
Yeah, Alexa is just biding his time as Kinney is using a lot of battery in front, and Alexa is just waiting for that perfect opportunity. We got Salty Finn in the chat saying a Rowe in 5th place, very underrated driver right now, and of course he is in 5th place on the soft compound tyres, but you're seeing now the softs are falling away. He's 1.6 off the back of Mokri now, and he's going to be under huge pressure from Kermit, Jacob and Lukey, who's almost within that 1 second window of Jacob. And Jacob, by the way, he's had a fantastic start as Kermit gets through on Rowe. Those soft tyres really falling off by here, and yet there he is. Into the pit lane comes the Welshman. But yeah, Jacob's had a fantastic start to this race. He's up in the P6 now, and he's absolutely flying.
Yeah, important for his Grand Prix, but also important for Lukey's Grand Prix. Lukey has followed Jacob through every single time Jacob's made a position, and that's exactly what they need. They're in the DRS now of Kermit ahead. They need to keep going, so it's a good start from those two on the mediums, and you'd imagine maybe one of those two doing the undercut on the top 5 to pick up the places. We've seen in the P4 tier at least that the undercut was so crucial to the race win, and that might just put them, if they're not already in the hunt for a podium and the chance for a race win. Kinney already using all of his battery, Alexa behind, a full battery available to deploy, and when these two begin to battle, which you'd imagine will be soon with the battery favouring the car in 2nd place, one of either Jacob or Lukey doing an early stop could help them close the gap.
Yeah, Salah was getting close to the back of Cam Cagle. Salah on a recovery drive after the contact with Alfredo early on, but that's not going to help Salah going off track, and there goes Jonas through, and yeah, Salah running deep through Cops, and that is not ideal. The Ferrari falls down a couple more positions, getting caught up with a little bit of dirt here, and let's see as Kinney's into the pit lane. Alexa stays out.
That's a very early stop for the medium compound of tyre, maybe trying to avoid being undercut, and now this is where the battery deployment becomes crucial for the Aston Martin. They need a good lap here, a good in-lap, and use the battery as much as they possibly can to try and avoid being undercut to the point where they lose a lot of time. The Ferrari as well, very close to the back of Mr. Zontel, who's now well and truly out of sync compared to the top 2. These are critical moments in this Grand Prix in terms of the race lead. Can the Aston stay within that 1 second?
Yeah, as we got Jacob looking to size up a move immediately on Kermit down the Wellington straight. Job done for Jacob, but Kermit trying to fight back, trying to get a good run through Brooklands and left field to try and launch that McLaren on the run down in towards Cops, but it looks like just does not have the run that he needs, so he's going to settle in for P5. And if I'm Kermit, I'm happy just to allow Jacob to tow me along here and save up the battery as best as I can, because Jacob right now, the pace he's showing, he could very well be in the podium conversation by the end of this race.
Yeah, he's quick enough to do the job to get the podium here. The problem Kermit has is he's almost out of the DRS already, so he's having to use what little battery he has to stay with the car ahead. And here comes Rich now on the back of one of the Red Bulls, not quite close enough there, but in a Red Bull sandwich, trying to get out of it very quickly. Mr. Zontel into the pit, so is Mowgli the Ferrari. Alexa stays out and got the battery to play with, so we'll have the tyre deficit, but that undercut Kinney with the free air Kinney has surely will come out ahead, barring any mistakes.
Let's have a look here as we're going to go on board with Kinney coming through the Vale chicane now through Club Corner onto the Hamilton straight. You're seeing Mokri and Zondel are still in the pit lane, so let's see what the gap is going to be, and there goes Kinney past the pair of them, and it's actually going to be close between them and Rowe here, as Rowe is going to be coming through Albion Farm right now, and he's right underneath that rear wing of the Ferrari, so Rowe's undercut has worked out pretty well for him as he's on the back of Mokri. It looks like Mokri might have been held up in the pit slightly because he's dropped 1.8 off the back of Zondel here.
Yeah, the Ferrari going defensive early as well on the into Brooklyn. The car behind was a bit far back. Yeah, it looks like he was held due to other cars boxing the Ferrari, so he's got to make that gap back up and do the best they possibly can and avoid the pressure from Rowe, who used the soft tyres, got the undercut now, and is well and truly in this battle for the podium in the second stint here. And now the dirty air is what will affect him in this part of the racetrack, but the reward will be you'll have the DRS on the hanger straight and have an opportunity of overtaking into Stowe Corner, and the Ferrari very wide through Chapel there. And does that allow the Haas to have the advantage on the hanger straight? Not close enough this time, but Rowe doing a good job at the moment.
Yeah, I think Rowe right now with a not the greatest amount of battery. I think both of them are going to need to have like a lap or two where they just recharge the battery up a bit. Zondel is around about 10% better off than these two at this moment in time. As you see, Jacob, Kermit and Lukey all in the pits themselves. And Jacob is just exiting the pit lane right now. And he's going to come out behind Rowe. But he's going to be well ahead of the likes of Cam K in behind. So Jacob, he's close to the back of this train. Kermit and Lukey not too far off either. So we could potentially see these guys all bunch back up as Jacob, Rowe and Mowgli. They got to have some sort of truce right now to close back up to Zondel in this race.
Well, it's important that they don't begin to battle so much that they lose even more time. They've dropped 4/10 of a second on this lap already to the Williams out ahead, so it's a Williams 1-2 at the moment doing the work, and Jacob, you'd imagine, will close up and getting the DRS of Rowe. The 3-lap tyre deficit will favour the Alpine and the natural ability as well, and already in it, yeah, so he'll have the advantage. Not got the battery advantage, but he'll be using the DRS, and you'd imagine should be able to get past if he can get close enough. Maybe not this lap, but the next lap or two. Interesting to note, Lukey's got medium here, so he'll definitely be going onto a hard compounded tyre later on in the race. So Lukey trying to do a quick second stint.
I'll tell you what, this is where things are going to be interesting, because if you're Mokwe Rowe right now, you're going to want the best place. You want to do the best that you can, and right now you've got to kind of work together to close back up to Mr. Zondel ahead. But also you got to weigh up the possibility of, is it better for your race if Jacob's the one leading this train? Like that's gonna be another thing. Because if Jacob is the one leading this train, I think they close up to Zondel a little bit quicker. But right now, I mean, Rowe looks like he's keeping up with Mokwe, but he's not doing enough to put in a challenge to the Ferrari up ahead. So in my opinion, if they might have to let Jacob lead this train and close him back up to the Williams.
Yeah, Rowe doesn't have the battery available to make a challenge to the Ferrari ahead, and if he does a reset lap of his battery, he's going to drop out of the DRS and have the same issue. And then it would make sense in a way to let Jacob lead the pack as he's the quickest, but then if you let Jacob go and you lose touch to Jacob, you're now 2 positions out, and Jacob now is right on the back and might not even need to let Rowe let him pass, because Jacob's going to take the place and is up into 8th. He'll force the Haas wide and go the long way round, and there's no room for any chance of a re-overtake for the Haas. And now Jacob is up into 8th place and has the Ferrari ahead, and Mr. Zontel 2 seconds up the road needs to use this advantage he's got now as Jacob sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
Now that right there, obviously Zondel would have just seen Jacob. Obviously it come into his vision on the table to the left. He would have just seen that he's overtaken Rowe. But that fastest lap has definitely got to be sending shivers down Zondel's spine right now, as he knows Jacob is charging. Alexa on those fresh medium compound tyres has come out in P7. So Alexa going deep into the first stint. I mean, it's not worked in terms of track position. You can see how much time Alexa's lost to the likes of Kinney up ahead. But I mean, fresh mediums, he could potentially, obviously, along with Jacob, charge his way through this pack and get himself onto the back of Zondel.
good tyre management, but then you're stuck in traffic. You don't want to be behind Jacob, who's behind another car trying to make moves here. Jacob now close enough to surely be able to make a move into Stoke Corner. The closing speed on the Alpine is incredible, and he's up into 5th place now. And the only thing for Mr. Zonto that he might be happy with here, if Alexa can get past the Ferrari quick, which she might do into Vale Chicane, that is so tight. They bang wheels, the extra grip on the Aston Martin is just wanting to be used, and round Club Corner they'll go, and does get ahead. It might have been questionable at best, but is ahead of the Ferrari, and that move was vital. And Mr. Zonto might be thinking, Alexa can battle Jacob, that might help me out and cost them some time and just keep me within touching distance of the podium places. Mr. Zonto, he is the cork in the bottle in this race. How long can he hold these guys up for when they eventually get to him and help his teammate out, or will he go his own and try and take the podium?
This is where we're going to see what Jacob and Alexa can do here in this podium fight, because they're already gaining in on Mr. Zonto up ahead. The gap now down to 2.4, now 2.5. Mokri almost out of DRS immediately, and there goes the 1 second. I think that is Mokri now going to be not getting DRS down the hanger straight, and actually not, Mokri does get DRS. Okay, so Mokri just about within DRS range, might save Mokri from Rowe in behind, but those two potentially, as Alexa down the inside of Jacob gets the job done. As I was going to say, Mokri, obviously having DRS here would save from Rowe, but it's not looking great for him at the moment. The gap 2 seconds now between Alexa and Zonto.
Yeah, 5/10 they've closed in that lap, and the Ferrari maybe just lost a bit of concentration, needed to refocus after the contact at the final corner on the previous lap, just putting him out a bit of sync. He seems to have sorted out the issue now and is closing back up to the 2 ahead, and this is where the leading car might be able to drag the next 4 along and close up to the Williams now. And the cars are all in the Williams hands at the moment. They lead 1-2. They've got 2 cars to everyone else's 1 out in front in the battle. The podium places are up for grabs, and the win as well. They're 4 seconds adrift of Kinney, is the car in 2nd place. And now, if he can hang on to the battle with Alexa, might be able to hold them up some more, or get involved for this podium battle himself. Mr. Zonto is all on him at the moment for Williams. Can he mount a challenge to Alexa, who's so quick on those medium compound attacks? But how long will they last? And they'll need to stop earlier than everyone else will, who started on the medium, the hards for their 2nd stint. They're closing up now, 1.3 to the Williams ahead.
Yeah, they are absolutely flying right now, both Alexa and Jacob in this race, absolutely charging towards the back of Mr. Zonto. Mokri is doing everything that he can to stay with these 2 in front, and obviously right now Rowe has been dropped by these 3, and Rowe now has to just get his head down, 2nd consistent lap times, because he's got Kermit closing in right now.
Yeah, Kermit going quick on the 5-lap-old hard competent tires, but no battery left. But he's in a bit of no man's land at the moment, just kind of doing some time trial laps in this 2nd stint. Just needs to keep the consistency, and will eventually close up to the Haas, who's done 3 laps more. And keep an eye on looking behind. Those mediums will start to fade out down in 8th place, so he'll need to stop again soon. Jacob, though, right on the back of Alexa, still keeping within less than half a second. They're closing up to Alexa, but the interesting thing to note, they've closed up, sorry, Mr. Zonto, by half a second in the last sector to Kinney. Maybe a mistake from Kinney, dropping from 4 seconds to 3.3 now. And maybe just trying to save some batteries on 30% running none Kinney. So and this is the phase of the race where he needs to do some battery management.
Jacob needs a very good launch out of Chapel, and it doesn't look like he's going to get the launch that he's looking for, but with DRS and ERS going to close back up, and Alexa now within DRS range of Zonto. And what I was going to say was Jacob needs a good launch, because if he can get that slingshot past Alexa, he'd be immediately in the DRS of Zonto, but unable to do so, and now Alexa's all over the back of the Williams. And Kinney is going to be hoping that Zondel can turn into Sergio Perez and put a defensive masterclass out there.
We can see the parachutes getting ready to be deployed on the second running Williams in second place, wanting to hang on to the battle for the podium places. And a bit early to be doing team games now, but you'll just see the run that Alexa will have on this Wellington straight. The DRS open, the Williams moves to the left-hand side early on the straight. Round Brooklyn they go, using all the track possible is the Aston Martin, using all the road, pushes the Williams wide as the outside turns to the inside, and that is a wonderful overtake. And it was great battling for Mr. Zontel. He didn't give it up until the very end when he had to yield the position, and important for the Aston, Jacob never got past at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. But now Alexa going to be a bit of a sitting duck on the hanger straight, unless Alexa has a fantastic Maggotts, Beckett's and Chapel here, and it's looking that way because the gap is now 8 tenths of a second. So fantastic from Alexa, as Jacob not going to be able to get close enough to overtake Zondel on this lap. Zondel closing in massively, but not close enough. Goes a little bit deep through Stowe, and that's going to allow Jacob the possibility to have a little look down the inside, and he has a peek. He's got his nose in it, but a little bit of contact made. I don't know about that one. That was a little bit late there from Jacob. Just, he was hesitant about committing down the inside, going into the Vale chicane, but he has got Zondel out of DRS range on Alexa now, so this should be a relatively simple overtake from Jacob here.
Yeah, Jacob was able to save his battery on the last lap. He's got a good shank to use, and yeah, just seemed hesitant, wasn't sure on the 50-50. He was a bit cheeky going that late in the day, but the Williams did move back across to the right hand side, so Jacob had nowhere to go down the left hand side. This time though, easy as you like, and the Williams knew better than to battle that one. They had no chance, but trying back around the outside of Lewfield if there's space, but no, Jacob now well and truly up into third place, and it's been a great Grand Prix from the championship leader now, and he is all focused on closing that 1.8 gap ahead and trying to pick up the win within undercut range on the car ahead as well. You'd imagine 2 seconds is sort of the range that the hards need to heat up, and that is what Alexa has to go on for the next stop. Jacob can go back on to another set of mediums. He's ran both compounds. So when will Jacob decide time is time to come into the pits? Alexa not closing into Kinney as much as I'd expect.
I mean, Alexa's closed in by a couple of tenths this lap, but Alexa's tyres are now gonna... Oh, Kinney, 10-second time penalty, speeding into the pit lane. And that has absolutely blown this race wide open with Jacob and Alexa. And they would have seen that. And now, Jacob just needs to overtake Alexa for the race win. Jacob
now will see the headlines written in tomorrow's newspaper. He needs to get a move on. And the cards now are in the Aston Martin garage's hands, and the Alpine does have an opportunity here. Now the undercut is even more crucial. How long will the Aston leave it before the pit stop? Now you could go box this lap and go hard to the end. That is doable, but it's how long will you leave it before Jacob decides the undercut is time to go. Kermit, by the way, all the way up into 4th place. Lawrence doing a good job as well, as guys have made their stops. Mr. Zontel was in on the previous lap, and the Racing Bull and the Kickseb are doing a good job here, being up this high after their earlier phases in the race weren't so great. But Mowgli now 2 seconds behind Jacob. Is it time for the Ferrari to come in?
I think the Ferrari might have to come into the pits pretty soon. Same with the Aston Martin as well, because they need to make sure that they're covering off Kinney and staying within that 10-second penalty window. And again, I was going to bring this up, but Zondel also came into the pits, and I think he might have double stacked as here goes Jacob into the pits now. Alexa stays out, and that could be a race winning pit stop right here for Jacob.
Yep, that pit stop, the undercut does work. It's around about 2 seconds you can gain if it's perfect, and obviously this heat up on the tyres for the hards will be a lot harder for Alexa than it will be for Jacob, because Jacob's going medium to the end. Alexa has to go onto the hards So it will be a lot of warm-up as Kinney does get back past Jacob, which was expected, but it's all about the gap now. And Mr. Zontal double stacking has actually put him outside of the 10 seconds needed for Kinney's 10-second penalty. Maybe planned, maybe not wanting to get in the 10 seconds, but Kinney now on the back of Papa Squad, you imagine, should get past here on the Wellington straight. Kinney needs to get out of the traffic ASAP with that penalty. Down the inside he'll go on the Red Bull, and this is critical for his race. They bang wheels, and it does get past, and Papa might not be too happy with how wide the Williams went.
Yeah, I don't think Papa will be very happy with that at all, but Kinney really trying to get through the field as quickly as possible. So Jacob has a 1.7 gap to Jonas up ahead, but Jonas in the slipstream and DRS of Seagull currently in P5 having a very solid race as the second Aston Martin. Right now though, we got a lovely little train of Jacob, Zondal, Rowe and Mowgli sizing himself up for that potential battle for the final steps on the podium.
Yeah, and they're all in the range of Kinney's penalty. So Kinney really, really needs to pick up the pace as Kermit now comes into the pits. Now Mr. Zontal keeping Jacob honest here, not losing too much time, even though Jacob on the quicker compound. And Jacob is now starting to close up to some traffic as he sets the fastest lap. Mr. Zontal has got pace, maybe on for a race win here, Mr. Zontal, with his teammate's penalty.
Essentially, yes, the gap, right, you see it there, it is 6.6 to Jacob, and then add another 8, 6, 7, 8 attempts here to Jacob, obviously from Jonas, but here goes Jacob now, going to get through with DRS, job done, and Zondal too far back to try and follow Jacob through, and that's not going to help Zondal in his hopes for a potential race win, and he has a big snap coming through Brooklands there. And that's going to cost him just a little bit more time, and yeah, he's got to sit in behind the RB, but he's using that battery. He's looking to the inside in towards Cobbs as Jonas going to try and hang it all the way around the outside, and Jonas does hang it all the way around the outside and keeps that position.
Yeah, lovely to hang on, but I think Jonas has been a bit of a corkscrew and ruining the Williams race as Alexa does come into the pits, and Mr. Zonta will not be happy with what's going on at this phase in the race, and this time surely gets the job done. The Visa RB obviously battling away with Williams. They were level on points in the constructors before this Grand Prix, so they do need to try and stop the Williams as best they can. And Jonas did a great job of doing that. Soft compounded tyre for Alexis. Jacobs hits the fastest lap of the Grand Prix by over 1 second to the previous. And I don't think Alexa will get to the end on those.
But Alexa does get out ahead of Zondal, which is huge. Jonas doing an absolute job right there on Zondal, and it's allowed Alexa to get ahead. And this is where things are going to get very interesting now towards the end of this race, because those soft tyres are going to fall away at the end. But can Alexa use the advantage of the soft tyres early on to get ahead of Jacob and have enough pace to keep Jacob in behind? It's going to be close, but let's see what the Aston Martin can do. Zondal needs to hope and pray that he can stay with Alexa here, coming through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel to get the DRS. And yeah, it looks like Zondal will get the DRS here, which is going to be fortunate for Zondal. Rowe is now ahead of Jonas, and Mowgli now stuck in behind the RB, and Mowgli needs to try and get through as soon as possible using DRS and ERS. Going to look to the inside, potentially has a little peak but doesn't want to commit to it. Mowgli is going to sit in behind for the time being, and Jonas right now absolutely playing havoc with these guys and causing these guys to work for the podium.
Yeah, it's been a bit of kind of a corkscrew in the bottle, as I mentioned before, and Jonas doesn't have to give up position. He's fighting for the racetrack and doesn't have to give these positions up easy, and he's not doing that. I don't like this strategy from the Aston Martin though. Hopefully I'm proved wrong and Alexa can go on and keep the podium, but I think Mr. Zontal, he's not got the advantage now, but in a few moments, particularly the next 2 or 3 laps, it might start coming back to the Williams, and he might not be able to challenge Jacob for the win now with that battle with Jonas, but I'm expecting a podium definitely for the Williams, as long as there's no mistakes. He's losing time to Alexa, who's now in the DRS with Jacob, but the tyres are just going to fall away. They're never making it to the end, surely not. They'll be so destroyed.
They will indeed, but right now, obviously, in terms of the pit stop, everyone apart from Jonas has made the mandatory 2-stop pit strategy here. So we're just waiting on Jonas to come into the pits, and then everyone would have done the 2 stops. Alexa now in the DRS range of Jacob, and this is going to be crucial for Alexa to get the move done as soon as possible. And then obviously later into the race, Alexa just needs to make sure that it's in the right place at the right time, as in the chat Jess and Colin saying no to Kinney's 10-second time penalty, and heartbreak there for Kinney. The gap 6.6 seconds. Kinney could potentially still salvage a podium out of this, which is going to be fantastic if he's able to do so. Zontal is around about 9 seconds off the back of Kinney right now.
Yeah, Alexa doing the strategy that they're doing might actually help Kinney keep the podium so close to the back of Jacob, and at this phase of the race will be quicker. It's all about the last few laps. Will Jacob be close enough to make the move? And yeah, just the strategy, I want to be proved wrong, but not very Delta-like, because I don't think the smart decision was to go medium, soft, but you'll have to wait and see in the next few laps. Mr. Zontal hanging on to that 2 seconds. Alex though, Rowe starting to close back up, with Mowgli right on the back of them as well. And this isn't over for this podium battle, and Kinney's penalty is spicing up the lead win. But the strategy's been perfect from Kinney. Just that lack of discipline I mentioned earlier on in the night, it's just proving costly. That's 2 race wins here potentially lost due to penalties.
Yeah, which would be absolutely heartbreaking for Kinney. Again, to lose what could have been a big victory, but I mean, Kinney still has the opportunity of salvaging a podium here tonight, so that's got to be the aim for Kinney. Try to open the gap up on Zontal as best as possible. One thing, of course, that we also got to bring up as well is, yes, Alexa on those soft tyres, they are going to be quite warm come the end of this race. But also with the fuel load being depleted now, it might give Alexa just an extra lap or 2 as Alfredo into the pits retires from the race. And of course, it's all gone wrong for Alfredo since the contact with Salo at the start of this race. Salo currently in P11, so it shows the effects of what contact can do for you around here, as he's struggled to get himself back into the top 10. But he does have Kanke directly in front of him, so maybe a top 10 result is on the cards for Salo. Possibly the opportunity of pushing on, maybe getting onto the back of Lawrence, who is second and a half up the road from Kanke. But on board with Alexa now with DRS and ERS. It's going to be an overtake here for the Aston Martin. For the net race lead, down the inside goes Alexa, and this is important now for Alexa. Alexa needs to try and get away from Jacob while Alexa still has the tyre advantage.
Yep, critical moments now. It's all about how much of a gap can be created as Salou gets past Kamke. As you mentioned earlier now, important moments for Alexa, and important moments for Mr. Zontal. He needs to not lose touch with the guys in second and third. This is important for his race too. He is in that window of stealing a podium from his teammate with a 10-second time penalty, and the cars behind are starting to close, but they're so close up front. Jacob not close enough to make a move though.
Let's have a little look at the gap to the leader. Zontal 9.6 seconds behind Kinney.
It's close, very close. He's got an opportunity though, Mr. Zontal, and just needs to not make any mistakes or pick up a penalty. Kinney though, he's managed the gap well, just not able to extend his legs to pick up 10 seconds.
And that is unfortunately going to be the issue for Kinney. Obviously Alexa and Jacob both very quick drivers. and they're on the quicker compound right now. It's going to be difficult for Kinney to build that gap. But obviously, late into this race, obviously the soft tyres will fall away, but the hards will also be better than the mediums at the end of this race as well. So Kinney potentially is going to be hoping that Zondel can maybe get in the mix and try and slow up Alexa and Jacob if those two start battling. So it's not over for Kinney in terms of the race and win right now, but it is looking very unlikely.
The good thing for Kinney, I'd say, is the gap stayed the same. They've not closed in incredibly much. They've actually dropped to 6.6. And the more laps that Alexa does ahead of Jacob, the slower Jacob will go, because Alexa's tyres are definitely starting to wear. And that might actually allow Kinney the opportunity to extend that gap. Look, it's already up to 7 seconds now, so the race is sort of turned on its head now, where as long as Jacob's behind the Aston Martin, the more chance Kinney has of a win.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course Alexa being in front of Jacob right now, and Jacob not being able to get through. You're seeing Zondel begin to close back in as well, and if Zondel can get in this fight, maybe Zondel will play the team game and what's called try and battle Jacob and Alexa to try and cost them more time to keep Kinney on the podium with a potential race win.
And Jacob doing a reset lap on the previous lap, which is possibly why he wasn't able to make the overtake. He has got almost a full battery to his disposal. Now they come through Margits and Beckett's and will get the DRS. He's got 95% battery, and he'll dump that out the rear wing and use everything in his power with the DRS open. Will he close up the gap? Look at the closing speed on the Alpine, but he's going to have to go the long way round, and the Aston Martin slams the door shut and says, "You're not doing that to me, not here on lap 24. The penultimate laps are coming up, 3 to go.
Yeah, as we are about to go on to lap 25, the penultimate lap of this race, Kinney leads away 7.2 the gap, as Kinney with a 10-second time penalty, as we see a lap car of, I believe that's Chris, coming out of the pits on the right there, but 7.4, 7.5 maybe on the traction on the exit. Nope, 7.4 it remains, so the gap is getting bigger between Alexa and Kinney. The gap is also like stabilizing between Zondel and Jacob as well, which is not good for Zondel in this race, but the soft tyres are beginning to fall away, and the ERS disparity between Alexa and Jacob is apparent. And look at this now from Jacob, using that battery, going to look around the outside in towards Cobson. Alexa going to hold it on the inside, wheel to wheel action, bit of contact made. Seco there with the fastest lap of the race with a 28.2 from Seco, but very close action going on right there between Alexa and Jacob, and Alexa holds off Jacob once again, and Jacob needs to burn that battery to try and get through us. We're about to go into the final lap, and the closing speed is huge as Jacob around the outside, contact a little bit, wheel to wheel contact, and Alexa's going to hold it on the inside, but Jacob's staying for the inside into the Vale chicane as they go wheel to wheel once again. The Alpine, the Aston Martin, side by side coming through the Vale chicane and club corner. More contact made. The gap is now to 8.9. The battle in between these two is costing them the possibility for a race win, and there goes Jacob through. Now up into P2, but I think that might have been tactical from Alexa to try and get DRS in the final lap.
It was completely clean, the driving, they were wheel banging, but nothing too cynical. Jacob around Copse had to yield the position as he went off the racetrack, and it would have been an illegal overtake. And now the cards are in the Aston Martin's hand behind. The tyres are worn but got a bit of battery. The fuel light is on. This is the final opportunity to try and make the move, and you can just see there is no grip, and Mr. Zondel is right on this battle as well. He is so close. It's a three-way battle for at least P2. Kinney needs half a second to win this race.
Yeah, Kinney needs half a second, and can Kinney find it at this stage of the race? I believe the hards are going to be slightly better than the mediums, so the grip advantage should be in favour of Kinney, as Alexa really struggling coming through Margits, Beckett and Chapel, but DRS and ERS is going to be deployed here for Alexa, but not going to be close enough. Jacob looks like he's done enough to not only get ahead of Alexa where it mattered, but also potentially to take a race win here. Kinney 10-second time penalty. Let's see if Jacob is going to be on the top step of the podium coming through the final corner. Jacob, he's done it, and Alexa P3. So Kinney consoles a P2 finish in the end. Zondo in P4, Mowgli P5, Kermit in P6, Lawrence in P7, Lukey and Salu. Oh, Lukey sideways coming across the line. Salu P8, Lukey P9, Papa Squanch P10, Kinney in 11th, and Rich picks up that final points paying position in P12. I'm not sure what happened to Rowe, but Rowe down in 13th place, an absolute horror end to his race as we got a lot of soft winners down at the back of the field. Larkin now coming through the final corner. Is this going to be the fastest lap outside of the top 10 for Larkin? Yes, it is. Larkin now with that point outside the top 10. Seago's not going to be able to do it. What about Waitsy? Waitsy's not going to be able to do it. Jonas does take it on the end. So Jonas picking up the fastest lap point outside of the top 10.
Fantastic lap right at the end there, and heartbreak for Kinney to lose it by 0.2 of a second. He was so close to be getting the job done, but Jacob makes it 3 in a row and extends his championship lead. And as you see on the podium, what a hard-fought podium it was. Alexa did everything possible to win the Grand Prix and was just so unlucky to not even get second in the end after the penalty. Lukey and Larkin, they were 3rd and 4th in the championship. They'll be disappointed not to close up, but Jacob, just an unstoppable force at this point in the season going into the break.
Yeah, absolutely, and what a race that was from Jacob. So let's run you through the order one more time. It is, of course, Jacob who takes the race win here in Silverstone, with Kinney in 2nd place, Alexa in 3rd, Zontal in 4th, and Mokri in 5th, Kermit 6th, Lawrence 7th. Then, of course, we got Salu in 8th, Lukey in 9th, with Papa Squanch rounding out the top 10. As Camke in 11th, and Rich picking up that final point paying position in 12th. And outside of the points is Rowe, Larkin, Seiko, Waitsy, Jonas, Chris, and of course our non-finisher in Alfredo. Jonas picks up the fastest lap outside of the top 10. Fastest lap inside the top 10 goes the way of, I believe it goes the way of Jacob there.
Yeah, Jacob was the quickest inside the top 10, so a bonus point coming his way. Not that he needs any more points at this stage of the season, but the drivers now have 2 weeks to have a break, get some more practice in, and try and figure out how do you stop Jacob in the Alpine team.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, we do have a bit of a break coming up, of course. 4 rounds completed, 8 rounds to go. We'll be back in a fortnight's time for the Hungarian Grand Prix as we head to Budapest for Monaco without the walls, without the barriers, as they like to call it. But Hungary is going to be a very interesting one. Is that going to be the race where things turn around here in P2? But of course, after what was a very, very exciting race, I got to ask you now, Jack, who is your driver of the day, and what question would you like to ask him?
Well, we didn't see much of them in the stream, but my driver of the day is the RB driver, Lawrence. Picked up 12 places in the race, coming from 19th to 7th. My question is, how do you stay motivated when you see the guys like Jacob picking up the positions quickly? You just keep on the pace and you keep going. How do you motivate yourself to keep trying and get through the field and pick up the places with the strategy, with no safety car as well? Excellent pace in it. How do you keep yourself going, and how do you encourage other people to do the same, to not give up when qualifying or the beginning of the race goes bad, and just to keep putting the pressure on others to do good?
Very interesting. Interesting right there, and hopefully Lawrence will be able to get that question answered. I think there's only one person I can give the driver of the day vote to, and that is, of course, to Jacob, our race winner. And my question to Jacob, after a poor qualifying by your standards, a fantastic race to come back through the field, did you feel that the race win was on hands, or was it a case of you thought it might have slipped away from you on the final laps battling with Alexa. So that is my driver of the day vote. And before we wrap things up, we'd like to quickly remind everyone that we do have the action in P1 going to be getting going in just a moment's time, with of course Jess and Jamie taking you through the action there. But before we wrap things up tonight, again, a massive thank you to our sponsors and partners here at Delta.app One Hub Racing. Of course, Delta.app, our title sponsor, of course, Next Level Racing, Sim Racing Setups, of course, Pure Sim Gear, Vespa Twin, Sim Grid, as well as our charity, the Mental Health Foundation. Well, after a very exciting P2 race, we can only imagine what's going to happen in P1 in just a moment's time. Guys, make sure you tune back in for P1 in around about 5 minutes. But for this evening, P2 has concluded. I have been Michael Edwards. He has been Jack and Craig, and we'll catch you in the next stream for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Good night, guys.